Bullet journal page through. I have already tried to record this twice. I know people asked me in the past to use a tripod, so I tried and it didn't work. It was too far away. The volume was all janky and it just didn't work out. So now we're going to do it with my shaky ham cam style. I have on image stabilization and a lens and blah, blah, blah. So I don't know why I just pointed the camera at me. Let's move forward. Standard bullet journal, Nordic blue, 3 bookmarks. It's got the thing in the back, right? The pocket, and I've got my fantastic journal ruler, which I highly recommend for whatever. I think it was $5 or $6 on Etsy. I use it constantly. All right, so bullet journal. We've got the in my index up front. I've got this for if I ever have a task related to an object in the back of the book. I use this little symbol to tell me it's back there. This means that I have to look at my email in the starred or flagged stuff. This is my daily anxiety tracker. I was using that for a while because I was having a lot of anxiety, but I don't use it as much anymore. And this means everything is done. I also have the sort of like the basic stuff over here for bullet journal. All my little positive quotes and stuff. Some of these I actually made up. Living requires little attention. Living well requires all of it. I made that up. Perfectionism is voluntary unhappiness. Me, I made that up. Knowledge is a byproduct of curiosity. I had a great month. I've been making up a lot of good things to say. When working with challenging clients, curiosity is usually more curative than conviction. Oh man, that was deep. Every interruption is a mistake waiting to happen. So good. Why am I doing this? Recovery should be more than just comparing our current self to our worst self. Oh, so deep. This is already getting too long. This is going to be long. Sorry. I'm going to page through and try not to be overly talky. Here's my index for people who say, why do you use the index? Here's why. I've got tons of things. Anything with that @ symbol next to it is a getting things done list of some sort. So that's why those are there. Sometimes I keep references in my index to prior journals. So my last journal is journal 2. So on page 88 and 99 of my last journal is where those notes are. So there's that. And each month I actually mark like this. So I keep tons and tons of notes in my bullet journal and collections and such of things going on at work and meetings. So I need to be able to find those, and this is how I do it. One last thing. I keep a master index in Evernote. You could do it in Excel too. It doesn't matter. It's just a table that when I'm done with a book, anything I think is going to be important to reference again, I list alphabetically in that master index with the number for the journal and the number for the page included with in there. That's a handy way to find stuff later. Here's my future log. I use the Alistair method, which means a column for each month, and then when I write something down, like the doctor's invoices on 7 and 21, and then I just put a dot on June. That way I know the dates and what month, and that way you never run out of space. With the regular writer method, you'd have like 3 months, and maybe this one's all full and you don't have enough space, and this one's blank, so you're wasting space. This, you don't waste space. And this was a big inspiration for Frankenlog. This is my master project list. I use a little bit, this is my 1 bit of washi tape, and I use that to keep track of where this master list is. This master project list is a sub-index. It is indexed in the index, but this is where I go for the specific projects at work. You'll see these are all marked off now because I switched jobs, so none of these are relevant anymore. I only have the one here that's relevant. Themes for weekdays. This is, so I have lists for certain themes. So like I'll have a read review list. And on Tuesdays, that's read review day. So that's when I will look at that list. And by breaking the week up like that, it gives me a little more structure with my stuff. You guys have seen this before. It's the waiting for list. If I ask somebody for something or order something or leave a message, whatever, I put it on here. Who, what, when I asked, and when they finished it for me or gave it to me. And these are all done, so I actually had to start a new one, which brings up page threading in a fantastic way of describing how collections can be threaded throughout the book. So this is my waiting for list, and it's out of space. So I started a new one on page 133. So I write 133 right here, and then we can go to page, if this little thingy would let me. There we go. We go to page 133, one-handed, and there's our next waiting for list. And it continues there. And I put page 8 there so you can find it again. If you ever wanted to go backwards. All right, so this is an agenda. Now, you've heard of agendas for meetings, right? An agenda is a list of things you're going to talk about at a meeting. An agenda for a person is exactly the same, except instead of a list of things to talk about at a meeting, it's a list of things to talk about at a person. So at Paul, and here's all the things I would need to talk to Paul about at one point or another, and I put that all in there. That's very handy for work when you have a lot of people and different things you need to touch up. So yeah, I got to remember to tell so-and-so about so-and-so. Yeah, or can you tell so-and-so I won't be at the meeting? Yes, put it on the agenda. I also was working on a model, and I used my journal as a sign. So more agendas. Oh, the someday maybe list. This is a getting things done thing. A lot of these lists are GTD lists from David Allen. So someday maybe list is a list of things I would like to do someday, maybe, if I ever get a chance. I don't review it that often, maybe once or twice every month, but that's there. Here are those lists I was telling you about. Here's my read review list and my production list. So whatever day is indicated as read, review, or production, that's when I do them. This was a collection. So the top of this was a collection for expanding a building that I was working at. And then I didn't use that much, so I put a line on each side, and then I continued to use the rest of it for whatever I was doodling. These are the lyrics to Kissing a Fool by George Michael. I was bored waiting for Jenny in the car, so I was just writing something for fun. Here's my Frankenlog for May. A lot of you already know what Frankenlog is. Let's see how quickly I can describe this without bogging all this down. This is exactly like Ryder Carroll's monthly spread, the one that's described in the original method. He has a calendar on this side with one line for each day, and then a page for all your tasks. I did not like that. It didn't work for me. So instead, because one line per day wasn't enough, so instead I have a calendar and all this space for tasks that I would need to do. And so I could write a task here and write like backup database with letter A, and then I can just put the letter A on whatever day that I need to do it. And I can put it on multiple days. So if it's a repeating task, I don't have to write it multiple times. And if you're wondering, well, then how do I mark it off? If it's a repeating task, it's going to happen multiple times. I do not work out of Frankenlog from day to day. I actually use daily logs all the time. So when it's Friday and there's a letter A there, when I start my daily log that day, I'll actually write this into my daily log and I will mark it off there. If you don't like daily logs and you want to just use this alone, you could just put multiple. You could put like 4 dots here for the 4 times, and then you could cross off each one. I don't know why I'm telling you. This is supposed to be a page through, not a tutorial. Okay, so this is my Frankenlog. If I have something I want to do during the week, each week has its own box, so I just put it right there. These are weekly habits that I track, so each week there's these 5 things I want to do, and each week I do them, I mark them off. And then lastly, each day of the month has a little box where I can keep track of several habits. Boom, boom, boom. And if I do all of them each day, then I would get a star day. Yay! I got close that one day there. So that's that. That's Frankenlog, and then I was just doodling later. These are notes for school. These are my realizations. This isn't about productivity. This is about personal growth. I write this every time I start a new book. It just gives me some information about myself. Most importantly, what I want and what I need are often not the same. And if what I want is not what I need, I can never get enough. That's important stuff. All right. So dirty dailies. I talk about them all the time. This is an example of my dirty dailies. Write the date, write the time, the day. These are the little brackets I told you about where I can track my anxiety, but I usually don't push much. This was just me doing an example. Kidding. I check my Frankenlog every morning and see if there's any things that I have to put into my daily. I look at my calendar and put down my scheduled events so I can sort of look at this and have a, I could look at my calendar. If my stuff's in my calendar, I could just look at my calendar and know what I have to do for the day. But the fact of the matter is, copying it from my calendar onto here in the morning centers me and focuses me and helps me. I never forget something if I do that copy over. I might forget it if I look at the calendar in the morning. I might forget it, but this has been pretty concrete that I don't forget things. Anywho, so we have that, and then this was the daily census. I worked at a rehab, and there were several units, and this was how many were in each unit, and I would just write that down in the morning to keep track. And this was my mark indicating there's nothing open anymore. All of these things have been done. This is Eddie Hope's Calendex guy. Eddie Hope, he did the square of done, which is he puts it on there and then marks it when the whole page is finished. I tried it, but I prefer to do single. So we have dailies, we have free flow. Some people ask whether or not people journal, like actually journal in their bullet journals. My answer is hell yes. I do it all the time. It is a running collection that goes throughout the book. So I'll journal here and I'll journal here, and then it'll say go to page 36. And so then I go to page 36 is where I continued. And then, so literally I journal, I will just start on a fresh blank page, and then I will note where the last page was and continue. So these are threaded throughout the book. You'll see that. These are just a couple other collections. So this is a list, but it's a collection. So this is in the index, and if I need more clothes, if I decide there's something else I need to go buy, I'll just add it to this and I know where to find it. This is my weekly planning template, so if I was doing what I was supposed to do each week, this is what I would be using to plan my week. I cannot declare that I actually do that. The wide angle lens I'm using on this camera is actually kind of heavy, so that's why I keep switching hands. So, more dirty dailies and collections and free flow. Okay, this might actually, you might find this useful. This is a question and answer spread. All the questions are here, all the answers are here. So I'm starting a new job, I had lots of questions. I wrote all the questions here and I lettered them, A through whatever. Then, whenever he would give me an answer to my question, I would circle the letter and then write it again over here and put a square around it, and I would write the answer. Well, really what I would do is I'd write the answer, then I'd circle the letter and write the letter. I didn't need to do the square thing. I don't know why I decided that. I could have just left them regular letters and just circled this so I knew I was done. But the nice thing about this is it means I can answer them in any order because the letter tells me which one it's in reference to. So just a handy way of, I don't know, taking notes, whatever. More free flow, more collections, more dirty dailies, just some stuff I was writing, notes for school. Here is more dirty dailies. This was me explaining to somebody the Atari joysticks made me aware that I was left-handed because you couldn't use them left-handed. This is me writing down how the bulletin boards are used in central intake at my new job. So I doodled it down and then I put it in the index. I have it now. All right, this is Frankenlight for June. Frankenlog and Light are very similar, the only difference being that Frankenlog is sort of a horizontal, like a regular calendar format, and Frankenlight is vertical. The advantage of vertical is, one, there's less drawing involved to make it, although those little boxes take a bit of time. And two, it means that I can have these lists, and I decided to make like a sort of pseudo Dutch door here, and I could still see the calendar even no matter which list I was looking at, which is nice. And this is a GTD version of Frankenlight, which means that instead of just having a big long list of tasks and putting letters next to them like I did in the other one, instead this one I have tasks that are for work, they get regular letters. Tasks that are for home, they get a letter with an underline. Tasks for school get a letter with a circle around it. So that way, when I write them on those given days, I can always tell which list they came off of or what things are going to have to be dealt with that day based on the type of letter, which is kind of cool. I decided I didn't like this format though because I had these, which is the people category and the Governor State University pattern. Those were useless. Look, I didn't even use the space. These barely used any space. I realized I didn't need this much space. Also, I hated that this corner kept getting all floppy. So that's Frankenlight, just a vertical version of the same thing. And those weekly boxes, that's what this is now. So this area here with the SLM, that's the box for the week, events that go in that week. Also this time I added this month and next month. This was my last month at my last job, so I had a section for things that absolutely had to be done this month before I leave, not on any particular day, so I added a this month. I added a next month too at someone's suggestion, and then later realized I'm never going to use this. I would just use my future log. I'm never going to use this box. So I didn't know that yet at the time. Spoilers. Just another collection. This is me taking notes for a game we were playing. This is me taking notes for a game we were playing. More dirty dailies. Okay, so here's an example. I was taking notes for this game, and I thought for sure I was going to use both pages. I was going to need a ton of room, but I didn't end up needing it, so I just put a line and then used the rest of the space for dirty dailies. And I call them dirty because they're a filthy mess, and I love them. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. Heavy lens. The dailies to me are the most important part of the bullet journaling system because all day long I just write down thoughts, ideas, suggestions, song lyrics, funny little things I think of, appointments, events, activities. It doesn't matter. I'm not only writing down a list of to-do, it's a list of to-done. So I include on things that weren't on the list but I completed that day. It's a great way of being able to look back at the day when you feel like you're a bum. You're not. You can see all the things that you did. It makes a huge difference. It makes me feel a lot more productive. But most importantly, I never have to find a Post-it note or wonder where that piece of paper was that I wrote down a phone number. Everything's in one place. And as long as I know roughly what day I wrote it down or even what week, I'll be able to find it in my dailies. All right. It's not supposed to be a tutorial, Brian. It's supposed to be just a page through. Dirty Dailies, free flow. Oh, this is me describing how to change the combination lock on a briefcase. Important information. Okay, group notes. Example, I was going to use this whole spread for notes for this thing I was doing, and I'm probably ending. This is over, so I'm probably not going to, which means that later on I'll come back and pilfer that page for something else. Maybe I'll use it for free flow. My free flow I write in cursive, and my regular stuff I do in print, so it's very easy to tell the difference between the two. Also, the fact that my handwriting looks like that means that nobody wants to read it. Like, it looks like fake handwriting in a book or a museum or something. Battery may run out soon. Thanks for the heads up. Alright, more Dirty Dailies. Dirty Dailies, Dirty Dailies. You guys seen all this? More collections. I don't think there's anything. Some doodling. Doodle-loo. I tend to do a lot of geometric stuff. I'm not very good at drawing. This is a book I'm reading and the notes I'm taking about it. Great book called The Best Place to Work. Okay, Dirty Dailies. Alright, so here we are in July's Frankenlight. And I did have the this month and next month again, but you'll notice I didn't use them. They ended up not being useful. In order to get over that folding thing, I did a clean cut on the page, so now this is just a little half page. I have all of this space for work, and thank God, because look at how many tasks I did. I know that a lot of people, part of the reason that a lot of people won't, that Frankenlog won't appeal to some people is because they just don't have like as many things to do. And that's not me knocking them. Like, my new job is Vice President of Clinical Services at a 64-bed residential treatment center with 200 outpatients, so I have a lot to do. And that was my whole point in making this. And so if you don't need this much space, totally understandable, I do. This is all the things I need to do for work that I've collected so far. And then I have my section for school, which is nice and big over here also because I need a lot of room. Then you flip this open and I've got the 4 smaller contexts which I decided on, which were errands, media, home, and then things I want to talk to people about. And that is Frankenlog or Frankenlight for July. You can see, now here's an example of Dirty Dailies that took a ton of space. This is one day, right? One day, 7/8, first day at my new job, boom, 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 boom. And you'll see these dashes mean notes. These are all just tons and tons of notes. And then the next day, I was in, my first day, I was in orientation all day. This was the day after, don't ask. They don't go in chronological order. That's the point of threading and using an index for collections, is that this may actually continue further somewhere else, and as long as I say what page it continues on, it doesn't matter. Orientation was, that's not yet. All right, so here's some more of 7/8. Here's an agenda for my new boss. Here we go, orientation. I wanted to die. It was really boring. So, free flow, free flow, free flow. It was all day long. It was like an entire day of work. Free flow, free flow. And then there was another day of orientation too. So it was exhausting. There's some doodles. Don't know what they are. Oh, that one, I didn't know what it was when I started, but when I was done, it was like an inmate flipping. Or no, it's more like a referee. Those are vertical stripes. Doesn't matter who that is. Let's not wonder. Okay, and then we've got this. Now, if I'm taking notes during a meeting and then I think of something else that I have to write down, what I'll do is I'll put a letter by that meeting, and so later on when I want to add stuff relevant to that meeting, even though they're not in the same place, I'll use that letter again to indicate I'm going back to that. So that way I can sort of keep track inside my Dirty Dailies for things that are not chronological. I don't know if that made sense. Some more notes for a collection, more notes for a collection, a little more free flow. Dirty Dailies. Oh, Dirty Dailies. So this was my first day. I was learning how central intake works, so I made this. I indexed this. I wrote central intake orientation, put a bracket around it, put it in the index, and so even though these are dailies, it also became a collection that explained my central intake orientation. Lots of notes in here. I had a lot of meetings that day, so it turns into a lot of notes. And information about outpatient. Okay, and then we make it to today. How do you know it's today? The blue ribbon is always for today. The white ribbon always brings me to this month's monthly spread, my Frankenlog, because I check it every morning to see what I need to move over to my dailies. And then my black always goes to my waiting for list because I check this every day and I need to be able to get to it quick when I'm asking somebody for something and I want to remember to check back with them. That's what that's for. So we know that we're on today because we're on the blue. And there we go. We're at the end of the Dirty Dailies. I guess last but not least, I should mention I did draw out next month's Frankenlight. This time I thought maybe I could save myself a little time by not drawing all those boxes. See, boxes, no boxes. Boxes, no boxes. I'll see if it works. I'll let you know. I thought what I could do is each day, let me grab this pen for an example. Each day I could put the line to sort of show where I am in the month. And I can just put the line, and then I can put the habit stuff underneath it. These are the lines I'm talking about. So I could add these lines as I go. I'm not going to add these at all. But it just made it a little quicker to draw it this month. Also, I'm not in school this month. I don't have the semesters. There's a break between semesters, and I'm going to have like 3 weeks off. So I'm probably not going to have very much to do for school at all. So I decided to change. I still have tons of space for work, and I still have those other 4 under here. I moved them around a little bit. But now I have this self-care thing. Hopefully I can get some of that done during the break. Last, but very, very not least, is the lab. You guys know I always use the back of my, I don't know what you guys know. Why am I assuming that? It's the back of my book I use to keep, to make plans, to doodle, to come up with to write notes to people. I was at an auction and they were starting with prices that were too damn high. This is Thalia, who's in the Minimalist Bullet Journal group on Facebook, has come up with something she calls Future Frank, which is a really great-looking future log spread based off of Frankenlog. And honestly, I was trying to make something like that and couldn't come up with it. She did. She is the queen of the future log. Very cool. This is me. I was trying to work on something, and I love that I was like, okay, just use the left side. I was like trying to come up with something and like swearing at myself. A little planning, and that's it. So there you go. That is the page through of my bullet journal. It was long. Sorry. That's how long it takes to go through mine, I guess, and talk about all my stuff. I'm a chatty bastard. Hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know. See ya. Stay out of trouble. Stranger danger.